I think that so many people, especially the 16 to 25-year-olds that we work with, are waiting for that lightning bolt, the purpose, the passion that I'm supposed to follow. And I really think that you create your purpose and your passion by taking action. You gotta show up. You gotta do the work. You gotta keep going and move forward. And in our case, take care of people along the way.
Welcome to the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast. I am Shawn David Nelson, sometimes known as the Love Sack Guy. Grateful that you would bother listening to this. Seriously, no point in doing this if it weren't for you downloading it, sharing it with friends. Please give it a 5-star rating. You know, I only do this to bring you the smartest people on earth, sharing their life hacks. It's been such an amazing journey for me selfishly, but really grateful to you to help me get the word out. I have no advertisers. It's just for the platform if you catch any ads, but it's just a labor of love. And you're going to love today's episode. Just own it is our Shawnism. Just own it. Own it all. It's tricky. I once had this guy who stole from us and had to be let go, obviously. And then I had the pleasure of being sued by him because, you know, he accused us of firing him because of his religious beliefs or whatever. Something totally unrelated. And it's like, no. He stole, he's caught red-handed stealing furniture. I mean, he had a truckload full of stuff. What's my point? You know, and we get embroiled in this whole lawsuit. It costs us, you know, tons of money to deal with. None of it's true. It even makes it to the press because that's where he took it. And, you know, my name is smeared for being this bad leader, when in reality, this guy stole from me. But here's the point. I hired him. It's my fault. My fault he's there. It's my fault that he had the ammo to come at us on this religious ground because of a conversation that was had, not even by me. The point is, I don't care if it was you. I don't care if it was by you. If you're the leader, own it. Own it all. And it's not to say that we shouldn't, you know, hold others accountable. Obviously, there were others involved in this whole messy situation. And obviously this person themselves, it's easy just to blame them, but I don't get anywhere if I just blame this guy for doing what he did. I only get somewhere if I own it and then say, okay, how could I have avoided even hiring that person in the first place, or creating an environment where those things were said that gave him the ammo to sue us? This is years and years and years ago. How can I be responsible for that? And then, by the way, I changed some things in the way we operate. I changed some things in the way I screen and hire and all those things. And so in that way, it was very beneficial, but only because I owned it. Otherwise, it's just a thing that happened to me and there's no value from it. It's only bad. I got stolen from and I lost an employee and I got sued and it cost a lot of money. Had my name dragged through the press, all this kind of stuff, right? So it's only useful if you own it. So on today's pod, we talk with a brilliant leader who has made owning it the backbone of her entire company culture. She has a beautiful framework to that end. She's going to share with you. You can utilize it if you like. We talk about how one day that does not go according to plan can teach you to own it. But again, you got to make that choice. And it's, in her case, framed her whole life and beautiful outcome that you're going to hear about. We talk about why owning it can literally define how you set yourself apart from the competitors. Accountability is a crucial component to learning and improving, of course. We get into what it means to build a business for good in this strange business world today. In fact, you're speaking to one of the owners of the Rare B Corp. She'll explain what that means. It's a pretty cool thing to emulate. Talk about how sharing mistakes is one of the most powerful things that we can do. Being honest, even when it's like painful to kind of do that to yourself. It's what endears people to you. We discuss the question, are we drawn to people's strengths or their vulnerabilities? Which is it? As Miren says, it's going to work out if you just keep showing up and own your scorecard, the good and the bad, right? There's no point in just reporting one half of the score on a scoreboard. It leaves no one with any context. It's useless to anyone. It's useless information. So own it. We go deep on the topic. It's very useful if you're any kind of leader or any kind of person with ambition, any kind of parent, anyone, frankly, engaged in life. You're going to love this episode. Today's guest is proof that purpose, persistence, and people-first leadership can build something life-changing. She's the founder and CEO of Ocaquatics Swim School, one of the most respected swim education organizations in the country, maybe the world, and a business that's helped keep countless families safer in and around water. She started Ocaquatics as a young single mom with nothing but grit, mission, and a deep belief that swimming is a life skill. It's not a luxury. 30 years later, she's built a multi-location company, pioneered employee ownership, and led Ocaquatics to become the first swim school in the world certified as a B Corp. Her story is about betting on people, doing business with heart, and making decisions that pay off over decades, not just quarters. Please welcome an entrepreneur, culture builder, and true force for good on the earth, Ms. Miren Oca.
Thank you so much. That was so nice. That was a really, really kind introduction. I really appreciate that. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's all true, so it's easy. Hey, so without giving it too much thought at all, when you heard our Shawnism, just own it. What's the first thing that came to mind?
It's like, it's super important to us. We have a culture and we call it our own it culture. So it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. And it kind of is this thread that goes through my entire life from my college days to, 3 decades later. Own it has been a really huge part. And it's something I had to learn and something I had to come to. And now I shout it from the mountaintops because I think own it is so important. So it was perfect.
How do you define it? I mean, what are you shouting from mountaintops exactly?
Well, at Ocaquatics, we've built this culture of ownership, and I can tell you all about that. But I think even before that, more than 3 decades ago, I was in college and I was on my way to medical school. I was the scholarship student. I wanted to go to med school. I wanted to become a doctor. And I was really excited about all of that. And at 19, I find out one day I'm pregnant. So I kind of had to pivot. And, I wasn't really thrilled on that day that I found out I was pregnant. But I owned the decision and I owned, my choices. And I decided to take a break from school. And I moved to Miami to be closer to family. And I had my son. And then I went back to school, got my degree because I really thought I'm still going to go to med school. But when I graduated, he was 18 months old. And I thought there's no way I can go to med school with a toddler. So I'll just do this little side hustle for a bit until he gets older. And then I'll go to med school. And over time, he's now 34. He's almost 34 years old. So
wow.
And, but through, I think those times I've had to learn how to, it was a struggle. It was a big struggle in the early years, and just owning my decisions and owning what was coming and really making the best of situations. And then that eventually helped us teach it to our team members. And then that helped us build this culture of ownership. And then that led to what we did when we transitioned, when we exited, or when I officially sold my business to my employees. So it's been this really important theme through my entire life.
It's so cool because I'm guessing at the time that happened, you had a lot of feelings and probably fears, and you can only with the hindsight of, sounds like 34 years, have the perspective to realize what a blessing, something that in the moment might feel oppressive to us, challenging to us, can become in your life. And not even just a blessing, but even a pivot point that shapes now a business and a culture that affects thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And people listening are perhaps living a pivot point like that, or as a character defining situation that to them only feels like the situation they got to deal with at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I find that really inspiring.
Yeah. The day I found out I was pregnant was really not a happy day. It was I was scared. I was stressed. I had no money. I was the scholarship student. And now I realize that was the best day. That's the day that changed my life. I have this amazing kid. He's 34 now, so I guess I have to stop calling him kid at some point. But it changed the trajectory of my life and put me on a path to something that now has become so much more fulfilling and satisfying. And, we've taught 3.2 million swimming lessons at Ocaquatics during the time. So, I wanted to be a doctor, maybe, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, and doctors want to help people. And I think that we have helped people through the business, and, we've saved lives through the education that we provide. So it's really interesting how life works out. But it's when, I talk about it in my orientations, my new hire orientations. And I tell them, I tell our young team members, we hire a lot at 16 to 25-year-olds. When life throws a curveball or when there's a fork in the road that you weren't expecting, take it. It's going to be okay. Just make the best of it, own it, and make the best of it, and, do the work, and it'll be okay. So, but that was a hard thing. I wasn't thinking that back in the day.
Well, you had choices and you chose to own it. Mm-hmm. And I find it so fascinating that the same day you articulate as being stressful and scary. And by the way, I'm sure it wasn't a day. It was probably weeks and months. And, these things can oppress us for, scary situations can weigh on us for a long time. Mm-hmm. And now, with your perspective, the same day, as it were, was the best day,
right?
In your with your hindsight. And so, I just really want us all to hear that, because we might be experiencing one of those worst moments or toughest moments that is actually going to be our best day, even right now. And man, that's like mind blowing to me. Mm-hmm. And how cool is it that I feel like because you owned it, perhaps not only did that become the meta lesson through it all and that shaped this culture you've built, but it led you back to the place you were attracted to be in the first place, which may not really have been about fixing bones. It may have been about helping people. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the beautiful things about life as I found it. Like, look, I certainly wasn't passionate about shredded foam. I'm still not. Mm-hmm. And I've swam in it. I've inhaled it. I've spent years of my life with my own two hands stuffing love sacks and delivering love sacks and then opening retail. And now I'm a merchandiser or whatever. And I've learned all of these different things. I've built factories. I built retail stores. I built companies. Mm-hmm. And it's led me to a place where I feel very purpose driven, but it's completely different than the place where I started. But it took life meandering the way life does to drop me off here.
I love that you said that, because I think that so many people, especially the 16 to 25-year-olds that we work with, are waiting for that lightning bolt, the purpose, the passion that I'm supposed to follow. And I really think that you create your purpose and your passion by taking action. And, you gotta show up, you gotta do the work, you gotta keep going and move forward. And in our case, take care of people along the way. That was really important to us. And so this work that we do is very purposeful. We save lives. We teach swimming. We make families safer around the water. And especially in a community like Miami, where, unfortunately, drowning is the leading cause of accidental death in children ages 1 to 14. Wow. So the work we do matters.
Wow.
But in addition to that, we really want our team members to feel like they matter. And I think you've said that also, about Lovesac, is that the people matter. It's the work you do, but it's bringing people along the way and the journey that you travel with people. And that's what's been super important to us, and the leadership development and the building of culture. And we like to say we're building the citizens of the world. We're helping them become the people that they're growing up to become. So, whatever you're doing, it can be your purpose and your passion, and you can really do some amazing things as you continue down that path.
Yeah. This podcast is so, I don't know, useful to me selfishly, because I get to speak to the brightest, most, energizing people in the world, honestly, and learn from them. And a common thread I see is often these people, like yourself, are driven by purpose at some point, but it's often preceded, most often, almost 100% of the time, preceded by a period of what I would just call survival.
Mm-hmm.
And people often ask about Lovesac, and because we have this really cool, I think, stated purpose today: inspire humankind to buy better stuff. It's like buy less stuff, which is strange for a company that makes stuff to say. And it really does energize all of us. And it's way more interesting than being energized by like more growth at the top line this year, right? Even though that's can be fun too and exciting, but we couldn't have had that purpose without years and years, in my case, of just survival. And even in those days, we probably tried to identify a mission, and we did, and we had different things to rally around. But as you said, you want to find purpose, take action, go survive. And you don't need to survive if you're not putting yourself out there. In my case, I started this business, and then I opened a store, and then I had to keep it going. I had to keep my employees in the factory going. Actually, we didn't even try to open a store. We tried to sell our stuff. The furniture businesses weren't having us. And so just out of pure survival, we opened our first store in 2001, and we looked like geniuses. We're now doing $1 million on track to our first year with giant bean bags at high margins, looking like, some kind of retail savant out of small square footage, selling big products. I mean, case studies have been done on Lovesac. We were just trying to survive. Admittedly, the only reason we opened a store is because the retailers didn't want us. Mm-hmm. And the only reason we opened more is because we had to pay off the factory equipment and keep our guys working, so it's okay to just let the river, jump in the river, let it take you. And at some point, as long as you're willing to, occasionally get your head above water and look around, pay attention, listen, you don't always have to be paddling and kicking it, full speed. Hopefully you can float a little bit and listen and learn and watch and observe and apply the mental capacity that God gave you toward trying to make sense of it. You might just land on a bank with real purpose, like we have, like you have. And then all of a sudden, you get paid to go speak at some event or whatever it is, and you sound brilliant. And these kids all are looking for their purpose when really they just got to jump in the river. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, that is something that I believe so strongly, because I see the kids that, that they think that it has to be the lightning bolt first. And I love that you said,
like identify your purpose and then
follow your passion.
Yes. Totally.
I know. But I'll tell you, I love that you said jump in the river, because you do. You just got to show up and do the work and keep going. And it's the daily small decisions that you make. And so, above my shoulder, I have Ripples of Impact. I have a nonprofit that's called Ripples of Impact. And it's ROI. It's redefining ROI for business. because we focus so much on return on investment. And really, if we think about the ripples of impact that we're creating long time, for years to come. And so I really try to have a pebble on my desk. I have a pebble on my desk at work as well. And it's just a reminder. It's a constant reminder to think about the daily decisions you make, because life doesn't happen in a big moment. It's those thousands of micro moments that happen, the decisions you make every single day. And those decisions, you're creating ripples, and those ripples are ultimately going to create your legacy. So what do you want that to be about? And so, because there's so many people who have negative pebbles. And so I think that it's really important to just start and just take action and do something, and keep surfacing, keep your head above water every once in a while, and see where you're going and see what that looks like. And it will work out if you just keep showing up.
Brilliant. I think a lot of people get frozen at that moment, worried that maybe they're jumping into the wrong river. So even though they might have that impetus, then they panic, like, well, what if what if it takes me? Here's the cool thing in your case, if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, the way you said it, you got pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't choose that river. But you did choose to own it.
Mm-hmm.
And look where it took you.
Absolutely.
And of course, 34 years later, I mean, especially when kids are involved, especially when human souls are involved, you can only say it's a good thing. It's a great thing. It's a beautiful thing, because it's only beautiful and good and great.
Mm-hmm.
There is no downside. I'm sure there are hard times in there. I'm sure it's hard to pay for life on your own, let alone, build a family. But it's only good in the net. But you had to, and so that's my point, is it almost, and I don't mean to be flippant or like irresponsible, but it almost doesn't matter what river you jump in. I mean, as long as it's I'll just say a good river, but it doesn't matter which good river almost. In my case, I was a waiter. And again, back to survival. It was just a job I could get that paid money. But the truth is, in hindsight, waiting tables for a few years during college. And by the way, I was doing that while I was building Lovesac, because Lovesac took my money.
Right.
I didn't take the money I made in literally dollar by dollar.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, in fact, I used to take it to the University of Utah Credit Union, where I had a bank account. And every week I'd come in on Monday and deposit like this big wad of dollars and fives and 20s. And it was funny because some of the tellers, they were like my age, they were cute. And I found out they would talk about me because they wondered if I was a stripper, because I had a bank account called Lovesac, and I was depositing these
goodness,
giant wads of ones and five. And they had this ongoing joke, when the truth is, Lovesac, I had to deposit that money sometimes because I had to pay like my cell phone bill. I had to fix the shredder. I had to fix the fan for Lovesac, and I was waiting tables. But the waiting of tables, talk about a river to jump in, seems like a nothing. But it taught me how to talk to people. Mm-hmm. It taught me how to think on my feet, move fast, be detail oriented, work hard. All the things that, believe it or not, still apply to my life today. And that was just being a waiter. Mm-hmm. And so even that was a river that I jumped in that had positive consequences that so I think it matters less to some degree, as long as it's a good river. It's not just something outright negative, bad for the world, bad for your soul, bad for your body.
Right.
Jump in, man, and embrace it.
Yeah. Well, I love that you were talking about, being a waiter. I grew up in the restaurant business. My parents were immigrants, came to this country, very little, classic immigrant story, didn't have a lot. They opened a restaurant. And so we grew up in the family business, and serving people is such an important skill to have. I think every single teenager, young adult, college student, everybody has to get out there and serve in some capacity at some point in a hospitality business, because it teaches you so many skills, just especially this was a high-end restaurant. So it's just excellence and service and taking care of people. And I think that we became a hospitality business as we grew Ocaquatics because we serve people. We take care of our customers. Our first customer, our primary customer is our team member. We need to take care of them so they can take care of the customers and the families and the swimmers. And I think service, we believe in servant leadership, and service is so important. And it's kind of a lost art now. You don't see that as much. And it's been, been a major theme as well with ownership mindset and ownership thinking. And it has really helped our business thrive. So that those early years of working in the service industry has helped me now, decades later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another great example of, I think it matters less which river. Just jump in and see where you can get and see how you can apply it to, who would have guessed you couldn't have known what you would be doing back then?
Not at all. Not at all.
You couldn't have picked it out of a million choices.
Yeah. Well, I never thought I could survive long-term teaching swimming lessons. I mean, you made beanbags. Like, really? Is that a real job? I mean, that's the same. You teach swimming lessons. Is it a real job? I had so many people say, when are you going to get a real job? It's like, well,
we turned it into a real job.
We did.
Yeah, that's really cool. So this idea, has there been a moment as you've shaped your career and turned this side hustle maybe into a real job where owning a problem transformed a situation that you thought was hopeless? As you think about owning it, it's a mantra for your organization. It's a mantra you've shaped to live by. You think of a moment besides the one you kicked us off with, but in business, where owning it, took you where it needed to go.
Yes. I think, early struggles, early days, similar to kind of what you were talking about, the financial struggles is, I've actually lived here for about 25 years and the office was here. This was my swim school office for many years. And we had a credit card machine and I knew on Monday, I'm not going to make payroll on Friday. And I took my credit card and ran it through the credit card machine and charged what I thought I would need, what would get into the bank.
Really?
And what did it teach me? I mean, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to go. I needed to figure out the systems and figure out how can I manage this so that we're not putting payroll on credit cards. And I think it really also taught me about, okay, do whatever it takes. If I need this business to survive and I really want to make it work, what do I got to do to make it work? And so that was I owned that. And in my early years, I did have quite a bit of debt and credit card debt. And I worked really hard and I made a promise to myself, if I can just get out of debt, I promise I will make it so that my team members don't feel this. And I did get out of debt. At one point I had about $60,000 on credit cards and I did get out eventually and I kept my promise. And, for years we've been offering personal financial literacy to our team members so they don't go where I was. I don't want anybody to have that feeling, that horrible feeling of financial insecurity. And so we do a lot around financial literacy. We do a lot around 401k planning and having financial advisors talk to our team. We have interest-free loans, emergency loans for our team members. And all of those things are to help them not feel the pain that I was feeling back in the day. So I think that was a form of ownership, but I use those lessons to how can now I help my team members own their financial situation so that they don't get in those, they don't have those experiences.
That's really cool. I mean, I think that process is interesting to dissect, right? You owned it, you recognized it, you didn't just sort of like sweep it under the rug or, I don't know, push it into the past. You systematized it to insulate yourself from the negative aspects that you experienced ongoing, and then you took it further and systematized it for the people around you, for the organization, because you could have just stopped at that, hey, I'm out of debt. Okay. Moving on. And with that, put another brick in the wall of Ocaquatics being something way more than just, some swim lessons and some pools, but being an organization that you're proud of. And by the way, that's valuable. There are plenty of pools. There are plenty of swim teachers. They can't sell their business. It's just a,
Right.
a going concern.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe, you could, and I don't mean that so you can sell your business. I'm saying that there's value there. You've created, millions of dollars worth of value
Mm-hmm.
by building it into something bigger and more meaningful than
Mm-hmm.
just a swimming pool or a place to teach or swim lessons. And that is what building is all about. But it stemmed, again, in your example, from owning
Mm-hmm.
something that is tangential to your business. In my case, by the way, that's about my number. I had about $55,000 in credit card debt at 24 years old, having built that factory on credit cards. And by the way, this is not financial advice.
Right.
At the same time, it's a true story. It's what it took.
Mm-hmm. You're right. It's not financial advice. I don't want to tell my story so that other people say, oh, it's okay to be in debt and do this. No, I really don't want people to go there. I really think that there are other ways. And had I been more responsible, maybe I would have not ended up in that situation. But I did own it, and I did figure out how to get out of that financial debt. And I don't want our team members to go there. And it's interesting because, we've taught them this financial literacy. It's great for them. It's so good for them, but it's really great for the business too, because, once they gain confidence in their personal financials, we can teach them business concepts. We can do open book management. They now can read financial statements better than most business owners. So it's really great for them. It's really great for the business too.
That's
and
cool.
For us doing those things, and for us doing all these personal development resources that we have for them, it really helps the business. It helps retention. It helps engagement. It helps them want to stay longer. And it's just been really good for us. It's helped them stay longer, which has helped our customers stay longer, which has been really great for our bottom line. So I really do think being a good steward to your team members, taking care of your people, the community, taking care of everybody who comes in touch with your business, it's a really great business decision.
That's cool. Well, you're clearly a leader who's interested in leadership. You're not just a de facto business owner. Hey, I own this business, so got to keep it going. How do you decide as a leader when to step in and take ownership versus letting someone else handle it? If it comes to that.
Yeah. Well, we throw the word own it around quite a bit, and if someone makes a mistake, we don't call them mistakes or failures. We call them learning moments. Gary Ridge, he was the CEO of WD-40 for over 20 years. He talks about learning moments. And so our team know if they mess up, own it, and they bring it to us. And there are so many times I just want to jump in and fix it, but we try not to. We try to stay back and let them figure out what's the best course of action. And we encourage them to come to us and say, hey, I'm planning to do this. And then we can ask some clarifying questions and kind of, oh, have you thought about this? But it's the only way that we can level them up and keep them growing in their position so that eventually they can continue growing in the organization. And I think that owning your learning moments is kind of that's the first part of it, is just, we know we're not going to always be perfect. We're going to make mistakes. We've all made mistakes, but admitting it, fixing it, and moving on, and then teaching the other team members how they messed up. We've had team members, managers, drain a pool accidentally when they were cleaning filters and, drain the entire pool. And we have lessons in the afternoon, and it's like, okay, fix it. Let's go, but we didn't fire them or we didn't do any of those things. We have to, okay, what did we learn? That's kind of our biggest expression. What did we learn? and let's not do it again. And it's important to us. And, own it. I was the owner. I don't know if you know this, but I was the owner. I'm the founder and I was the owner. We just celebrated our 32-year anniversary on Sunday, and we had a big party. But on our 30-year anniversary, I did sell my business, and I sold my business to my employees through an employee ownership trust. So I sold the business to a trust, and the beneficiaries of the trust are the employees that have qualified. And there were certain things to do, but they don't have to buy in. They have to earn in with their time, with their dedication, with, the time they've spent at Ocaquatics. And so now we have almost 60 owners, and it's been really amazing. And they act like owners. This is their business. And I carried it the first 30 years. They're going to bring it to the next 30 years. And really, so many people ask me did that help everybody start to think like owners? No, we had to teach ownership before. Like, we worked on this for years before with our culture of ownership and, with admitting mistakes and fixing challenges and all those things. And it takes years, but it's worth it. It's really worth it. And now it pays. Now everybody's like, oh, that's why you spent all that time doing that ownership stuff. Because now they're really owners. So, yeah.
So cool. Yeah. So give us the orientation. You have this whole culture built on ownership. You have, I'm sure, a framework that has been useful to educating and holding that up. Tell us about it.
So own it. It's OWNIT. So O is operate with purpose. Purpose is super important to us. I mean, that's the fuel for an ownership culture. And we talk about our purpose all the time. W is welcome growth. One of our core values is always learning. We tell them at orientation when they come in, their growth journey, it's a big thing on the wall. It's a plant. And they're seeds, and we're planting them in the dirt, and they're going to grow along one of these routes. They get to kind of pick how they grow at Ocaquatics. And so always learning is super important. And we want them to own their growth while they're there, get certified, doing all these things. N is navigating with courage. We have this relentless pursuit of better, and we're always trying to level up. How do we get better? How do we improve systems? What do we do? How do we improve each other? And so we've always worked on how do we get better, but a lot of times that requires courage, because we are, I think, like you, is we were really focused on environmental responsibility. And, we wanted to be sustainable. We use a lot of water and a lot of electricity in our buildings. And we wanted to see, how can we do this business better? And that's how we worked on getting B Corp certified. It was really hard, but it took a lot of courage and it took a lot of pushing forward, but we did it.
By the way, for anyone who explain B Corp, 30 seconds for anyone listening.
So B Corp certification is a third-party verification. It's like a LEED certification or, fair trade for coffee, chocolate, and it levels up. Most businesses focus on a bottom line of profit, and B Corps focus on a triple bottom line: people, planet, and profit. And you use your business as a force for good. And so we are really proud to be a certified B Corporation. We've been recertified. It has been not a point of, we didn't do it for marketing. We didn't do it for recognition in the community, because a lot of people in Miami don't know what it means, but we did it to hold ourselves accountable and to show that we can be a business for good. So it was really important. Yeah. Awesome. But that took a lot of courage. Yeah. And then OWNI is investing in others. We want to invest in our team members. We want to invest in the community. We want to invest in just everything around us. And investing is in others. We're members of 1% for the Planet, which is an environmental nonprofit. That means we donate 1% of our gross annual revenues to environmental causes. It's part of our giving, because we use so much water, we use so much electricity. We want to be able to give to these environmental causes. And then our final own it, T, is transform together. We want to make the world a better place because we're in it. And we want to, have these ripples of impact last so much longer than we can imagine. And now it's really fun. I was at the pool this week, And there's a woman there with her 4 children. And 10 years ago, she was a manager at Ocaquatics Swim School. And she was a manager for like 8 years through college and while she was getting her master's. And it's so fun now to see her come back to us with her 4 children. And, it's just really cool. That's what we want. We want to transform our community, our environment, our team members, and everything. We want them to be really proud to have worked at Ocaquatics. And our goal is that every single person that works with us comes back to us, either as an employee later on in life, or with their children, or with their neighbors' children, or their cousins. We want them to remember us as such a great place to work that they want to come back. So that's really important to us.
I love that. You said something earlier in the podcast I want to tease out. It sounded like probably as part of your, navigating with courage, that you encourage people to share their mistakes as you go, and tell us more about that.
Yes. Well, we can't learn from them if we haven't, I messed up. This is what I did. Own it, admit it, own it, and then learn from it and move on. So, I have a really fantastic manager right now at one of our locations, and he's amazing. And he's been with us probably 12 years, and he was doing well, and he was kind of moving along in his leadership journey, and he had some stumbles, and he kind of plateaued, and then we had to bring him back down, and he actually had to come back to the level of a swimming teacher for a bit. And then he kept going. And now he talks about that. He says, look, sometimes you have to own your mistakes, because sometimes they don't have to be fatal mistakes where we have to leave, but we just have to learn from them and see how we can do better, and then keep going and keep growing. And that's exactly what he did. And now he is a manager at one of our great locations. And he's just so good because he can talk from that perspective to our team members. If they're applying to our manager and training program, he'll tell them, you might not get it the first time. It's okay. The experience of applying is really great. And so he encourages people, just get out there. It's take action. Just do it. Move forward. Try. And if you don't make it, it's okay, but try again. So I think that those things are important. And, our kids are young. Our managers are all, 25 to 35. And I think that all the mistakes I made when I was growing this business has helped me give grace to our younger team members, because, I made a lot of mistakes back in the day. And it has just really helped me say they're going to be okay. They just have to learn how to keep growing and learning how to do things, and they'll be okay. They're good people, good character. They'll be great.
I think as a general principle, to operate on this earth, operate with other human beings, sharing mistakes is one of the most powerful things we can do. It's one of the reasons that, my book, Let Me Save You 25 Years, the subtitle is, it begins with mistakes, miracles, and lessons from the Left Sack story. And I tried to write a book that is really pretty honest. I mean, because a lot of these business books, they celebrate like the genius of the whatever. And I think the most interesting parts are the mistakes. And it's not easy to do. It's embarrassing. It can be humiliating. It can feel that way. At the same time, it's one of the most endearing things we can do if we dare to do it. And you just got to have faith in that. And I'm saying this as a broad concept. Like, you just got to have faith that if you're willing to be transparent about your mistakes and foibles and shortcomings, it's actually mostly going to endear people to you, not the opposite. But somehow in our brains, I think we naturally feel like it's the opposite.
Do you know Arthur Brooks? I heard a podcast with him a couple of weeks ago, and he said, people are they're not drawn to your strengths. They're drawn to your vulnerabilities and your weaknesses when you're talking about, your experiences. And they understand, if they're seeing somebody on a pedestal that's perfect and never has made a mistake, they can't relate to that. And I agree 1,000%. So we are very, we're very transparent. We're very sharing. We are very open, and, open book management is a part of that. when we are not hitting our numbers, we talk about it, and we talk about what can we do better? How can we drive enrollments? And the team make us better, and they help us, and they come together and usually have better solutions than we would have if we just said, oh, everything's great, don't worry about it. So I think there are a lot of opportunities to learn from.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think like my own take on that, if I were being really honest, I think people are drawn to strengths. I think we are compelled to look at the pretty person or like, wow, like be in awe of the singer or whatever it is. But I would just turn it to say, if you present yourself that way only, you're missing a whole other half at least, because people might be just as drawn or even more so to your vulnerabilities.
Right.
And that's where I think we leave money on the table, as it were, because we naturally somehow we want to project strength. We want to project success. We want to project, I got it together. And I think like we have to almost, that's easy to do. Like making an Instagram post or whatever. Who wants to put their frumpy, kitchen in there? You want to clean it up and dress it up, whatever, it's the natural compulsion overall, I think. And so I think if you can also, and look, I think we can all think of people, I'm using Instagram, whatever, people on social media who are really kind of honest or transparent or sometimes a little bit crass or whatever it is. And I think those are the people that we like the most. But by the way, the pretty sunset pics or the super cool car pics or bikini pics or whatever also get plenty of likes. So I think it's both, but we're leaving a lot on the table if we're unwilling to push ourselves to be more vulnerable, to be more honest with our mistakes. In fact, some of my best posts on reflection, I do this thing called Fail Friday, where I just talk about like where I totally effed up, in some way. And those actually get the most engagement for me if we're judging it on engagement,
Yep.
And I post plenty of cool vacation pics or pretty kid pics or whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think service recovery is so important too. Like if you mess up and you own it with a customer, they come back and they love you even more. You fixed it, and so, it's hard to do. It's really hard to do.
They slide into my DMs. They write paragraphs about how crappy their delivery was or whatever. And it's so tricky because I want to somehow give them the perspective. Like we've made 10,000 deliveries this month and generally they were good. And but by the way, they don't need to hear that. They'll never know that even if I told them that, because their delivery sucked.
Yep.
And I just want to stab my eyes out. But when I have the stones to own it and to just apologize, tell them, look, we messed up. We suck. We want to fix it. Thank you. Thank them for like the berating they just gave me, because it is a blessing. Like my team can learn from it. It's amazing. Like 90, I'd say at least 90+% of the time, maybe more. It actually, 100% of the time it works out, but like at least 90+, they become more loyal and passionate, even though they started by calling me names.
Yeah.
I wrecked their weekend. I wrecked their kid's birthday. I wrecked their Super Bowl. I wrecked their Christmas. And so you gotta have bravery though to face into that.
You have to have courage. Navigate with courage. Let her in.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
This is great. Well, look, you're a world's expert on owning it. If you could give a piece of advice to someone to save them a chunk off their own 25-year journey in this realm, what might that piece of advice be?
I think, is owning your success, owning your scorecard, owning what success is going to look like to you. Because I think a lot of people chase a profit, or they chase the return on investment. They chase, the money. And that's important. It's really, really important. But what else can you do? Because the other questions are, what can we create together? Or, what impact are we going to make in the world? Or how can this live on longer than what we're doing, together? And I think that's something I've learned over time. At the beginning, it was about survival, and it very much was about survival. But I do wish that maybe somebody earlier had said, it's going to be okay. Robert Frost has a quote that is, I can sum up life in 3 words. It goes on. And I'll put it in there. It gets better. It gets better if you show up and you do the work and you do great things with people. And it's about those compounding daily decisions. It is all about the compounding effect of the choices that you make and, doing good things for people. And I think if you do that, it pays dividends now. I think we're experiencing that now. So many people are looking at us and saying, wow, it's amazing. This thing is like overnight success. And that Steve Jobs quote, overnight success takes a very long time. It's because of choices we made a long time ago. So I think, think about what you really want. What impact do you want to make? And it's that pebble thing again. What kind of pebbles are you dropping? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? And so I think, if more people started with that in mind, beginning with the end in mind, it might be an interesting way to do business. I've learned that it's evolved through the years. So
I love it. I mean, you're creating ripples.
We're creating ripples.
Regardless, because you're in the pool.
Yes.
So you might as well do it with some intention, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Beautiful. Well, look, you can follow Miren on Instagram as I do. Miren Oca. That's MIRENOCA. Check her out. She's motivational, inspiring, down to earth. Check out our website, mirenoca.com. If you're in the southeast of the United States, check out Ocaquatics, changing lives. Pretty cool. Get involved with an organization like this. Hopefully Ocaquatics. What a great place to come up. What a great place to grow. But by the way, there are organizations out there building with intention. You get the choice to, kind of spend your life working somewhere. I know we try hard at Lovesac to build a place that doesn't suck because you got to spend your life working anyway. But, find a place like Ocaquatics. Check out her nonprofit, Ripples of Impact, and donate today because they're doing some amazing work there.
Thank you.
Look, thank you so much to the sage wizard of water safety, the intelligent advocate for access and inclusion, the OG of Ocaquatics Swim School, Ms. Miren Oca.
Oh, thank you so much. This was great. Thank you.
No problem. And remember this, if you're listening, leadership, trust, impact, it all starts when you stop pointing fingers and just own the moment, own it all. Don't wait for permission, just own it. It just might save you a chunk off your own 25-year journey.
Once a year to take my friends away should not be the budget for your bike across America.
TikTok has become an aggregator for some of the dumbest